After a really good start, it's a little bit of, does it feel like a bit of a rut now, Brodie? How do you arrest that this weekend?
Not really. I guess we had 2 good wins and then 2 poor performances, and then the last 2 weeks we feel like we've played good footy for 3 quarters, and unfortunately 1 quarter's letting us down, and then on the weekend we probably went close to 4 quarters of footy, but our execution wasn't at the level. So at the moment we're getting some things right, and there's just one thing missing, that it's not putting a full game of footy together to beat the best sides.
Have you been sort of leading the goal kicking practice this week? That's sort of teaching the boys how to get it done? Or
No, well, I had a shot and miss, so I won't be able to do that. I'll be joining in, but main session tomorrow, so it's our opportunity to get plenty of that in. We've done plenty of kicking up in the shed floor today, so yeah, we're definitely working on it, and there's no doubt you look at the weekend's game and that's what's cost us the win, so plenty of work this week on that.
Sorry, I was going to say, do you notice the league feel a bit small down back when you've got guys like Max King with no, I mean, I know Butts was sick during the week, but there seems like no obvious matchup for someone of that size.
He's obviously a quality player and really tall for a key forward, and very rangy as well. So I think no matter who came in, we were up against it with a quality player like that. But we backed Muzz in, and we spoke about being physical and working together as a backs group, and we felt like we did that. But he just took some quality grabs, and yeah, as I said, our focus was to try and help each other out and press up, and at situations that gave him a jump at the footy, and he took full advantage. But we backed in our guys, and we felt like we could get the job done.
Does it hurt being undersized though, when Bart's is out or whatnot, and you've only got Nick Murray, and then when they send resting Ruckman forward, or they've got 2 or 3 other tall forwards aside from Max, and you've got one super key back, like strong key back, and then everyone else just has to play up a size?
Not really. As I said, we think we did it pretty well, and Hingy was on Membry, and that's probably where on paper you think we look a bit small, but we think he did a really good job, and you have the matchup of Muzz and King, and then dudes on the Marshall and those sort of guys, and as I said, we knew we had to help each other out, but we didn't feel like being undersized on paper was going to hurt us. And I know it looks bad now because King kicked 6, but as I said, we put ourselves in a good situation to win the game, and feel like we went pretty close to getting our job done.
I know you're not picking the team and you have no say in selection, but is that the best use of Tom Doedee, do you think, as such an effective interceptor, to have him then sort of playing a little bit more as a lockdown?
Yeah, well, he's playing really good footy for us, and he still has the ability to do that. He reads the game really well, so we know he can get a job done, but also come and help out and intercept. And no doubt when he's on a tough key forward that he's got to focus a little more on defending there, but the more and more he's playing, the more he's finding the times to be able to drop off and still help us out. So we'll keep backing him in to do that.
Do you need more size down there? I mean, Hawkins and Cameron are probably the tougher 1-2 punches it gets. Will you need to grow a bit this weekend?
Well, there's obviously the 2 key forwards that we need to shut down, and 2 quality players. I think they're both top 5 in the Coleman, so it tells you how good they're going. And obviously Butts is available this week, so there might be a little bit of a change up there. He'll obviously come in, probably playing Hawkins. So then you've got the Jeremy Cameron matchup, but outside of those 2, then they're not super tall, so potentially that mix could look pretty good for us again.
We know you had some guys running around in the 2s. Do you think you missed their experience when the game was in the balance on the weekend?
Potentially. We feel like we've got enough guys out there, and enough leaders amongst the group now that we can still get the job done. I think it blew out a little bit because we went to our play to try, and we knew there wasn't long left, and we had to kick a couple of goals quickly, and so you sort of go into full attack mode, and you can open yourself up, and that's what happened. They kick a couple more and make it look, the 4-goal win wasn't reflective of the game, but it's something we're working on across the group, is our voice and leadership, and making sure everyone's, your role in certain situations and help out the guy next to you.
Did Riley O'Brien have a bit of a spring in his step early this week after an unbelievable performance in the SANFL? Yeah,
he's actually a bit flat. He reckons he should have taken 3 or 4 more marks and had a 40 bomb. So he's definitely up and about. He had a great game, and his response, even during the week when he wasn't playing, to help Strawny out with first Brisbane and then Saints, did a lot of work with him to make sure he was playing good footy. So shows the character of Big Rob, and then he goes back to the SNFL and dominates. So we're really happy with what he's done.
And what about Josh Rochelle? Is he done anything today? Is he moving any better?
We haven't done much as a group today, so it's sort of in our line groups doing weights and a bit of touch and that sort of thing. But he's obviously got that corky, but so main session tomorrow, see how he goes.
You would have played most games in your first year, I think, in round 1. What's that like coming in? You know, I mean, these guys probably had even less footy over the last few years because of COVID, but what sort of physical demand? Do you remember what that was like as a young first-year player trying to play AFL week in, week out?
Yeah, it's definitely tough, and you know, we've got all the GPS monitoring and everything that goes on now, so the group knows exactly where he's at, and he'll get monitored through that. But there's no doubt it can get tough and quite demanding on the body. So he had a quiet week last week going into the game, and no doubt he'll probably have that again because, yeah, as you're alluding to, he's played a lot of footy already in his first year, so he's probably getting a little bit sore and tired. But just back him into, if he's feeling well, then to do as much work as he can during the week and then get up for a game day. But there might be a time where he might need to have a spell, but leave it up to the guys to monitor.
A lot of talk about the guys not playing, but what we've seen, maybe the best footy we've seen yet from Jackson Haitley and Sam Berry and maybe Saligo now in the last few weeks as well.
Yeah, it's been really pleasing. I think you know, those guys come in and get their chance and play some good footy, and more importantly, just play their role. And you know, Jacko's done some really good work in the midfield. Bez I think he has 10 tackles every time he's in there, so he just does the hard stuff. And same with Solly, and good to see him get on the end of one on the weekend too and kick a nice goal. So they're going really well, and the SNFL boys are putting a lot of pressure playing good footy too. So we're really happy with the competition for spots.
What does it do to Matt Crouch's chances of a recall then, you reckon?
Well, he's doing himself a lot of favours. He's playing a lot of good footy in the SNFL, so both games he's played now has been at a really high level. So, yeah, it's hard to knock guys out when they're in good form, but Matty's doing everything that he's been asked of, so he's putting his hand up every week that he plays.
I'm not sure you've ever had. Have you had a 35 game disposal game or a 38 disposal game? Like what more can those guys do at that lower level, do you think, to put their hands up?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I guess it's more about how they're playing their role, and it sounds a bit funny when you mention that they've had 35 touches, but just looking back, I guess, at how they're getting the touches and what impact they're having on the game, those sorts of things. And as we said, the midfield guys are playing some really good footy at the moment, so they're playing good footy and trying to knock out guys that are playing good footy. So it's about getting that balance right as well as a team. But yeah, thankfully I don't have to make those choices.
Strawny played pretty well against two solid rucks. With Rob knocking on the door, do you think you can play with two ruckmen?
Potentially. I guess we always have, you know, that forward that is the second ruck, so if it's Silthorpe or Big Elliott as well. So it might give us a bit of a different look. There could be potential for that, but yeah, see how those boys go playing up forward and see what that looks like for us.
At what point do, as well as you guys have put in effort-wise, you haven't got the results the last few weeks, at what point do consecutive losses start to undo the good work of playing, you know, a good 3 quarters or having a good effort or whatnot? At what point do the losses overtake that and it's a problem?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think looking back to the last couple of years, we would have played that game and walked off pretty happy with how we went, challenging a top 4 side. And on the weekend, everyone was shattered in the rooms afterwards. It shows that we know we're in games and we want to win them now. We should be winning those games. And as I mentioned on the weekend, we cost ourselves the game with our execution. So we look at it as an opportunity missed. And as I said, everyone's disappointed that we didn't win. Whereas maybe 2 years ago, we'd have walked off and gone, yep, pretty good effort, boys. But yeah, we're really disappointed now. We know we should be winning those games. So that's probably the growth in the group, I think.
How's that been for you as a senior player mentality-wise to be, you know, you've been in the granny and then down here to adjust expectations among yourself and the group? How do you do that?
Yeah, it was tough early for sure to sort of adjust to where we're at as a group, and knowing that, you know, we've got a lot of inexperience and young guys playing. But I think, as I mentioned during today, that there's a lot of young guys playing good footy. So you look at that and how we're developing through the SNFL. You know, top of the ladder in the SNFL, playing really good footy there, and guys are coming in like Saligo and playing their role and playing really well for us. So the growth is there, and as I said on the weekend, we challenged the side in the contest and with our defence, and then unfortunately let ourselves down with our execution. So we're showing that we can beat the best sides. We just got to put it together for 4 quarters, which is a bit of that inexperience and consistency, but we know that'll come.
Probably not the easiest game this weekend to just chalk up as 4 points either, is it?
Yeah, it's not getting any easy for us. It's been a tough stretch, but I think, as I said, that we had 2 really disappointing games where we weren't at the level, and then we look at the last 2 weeks where we were at the level, but we just let ourselves down in one area. So we're going into this week confident that we're playing good footy, but as I said, we've got to put it together for 4 quarters, and it doesn't get much tougher than Geelong.
Just going through, have you been involved in a win in Geelong?
No.
I'm just going back to the record. I don't remember the last time.
No, I haven't. This week's first week.
Yeah, okay. That's a good answer. Why is it so, I mean, it's clearly so tough. Why is it so tough?
Well, they're a good side. I think as long as I've been in the league, they've played finals. So, bit of a different ground as well. A lot of people speak about how skinny it is, and they play it so well. Conditions as well. They just seem to know how to play the ground so well. So, I think I've definitely had times where we've been in the game and just gone down, but there's no doubt it's a tough road trip. But I think we look at the Ballarat trip against the Bulldogs, we're probably similar. We knew we were up against it there, and it's going to be really tough, and we just put ourselves in the fight and got it done. So hopefully do that this week.
Dawson with a burst or ruptured eardrum, is that something that could keep him out for the weekend? Do you know if he's dizzy or anything of that nature?
No, I don't think. He's just more a bit blocked up, so got to scream him a bit more. But no, I think he'll be fine. He's just caught that whack, and he's been here the last couple of days. He's just a bit sore and blocked up.
Thank you. Thanks, Brodie.
Cheers.
Thanks, Brodie. Cheers, mate.
Thanks for this.